Hola, mi nombre es Daniela Cepeda Martínez de Promoción de Paz, su maestro de inglés, y el día de hoy vamos a continuar con nuestra cuarta clase. Today, we're going to see the first conditional and models of possibility. So let's get started. The first conditional is used to talk about future events that are likely to happen. In this grammar box, we have the affirmative, negative, and interrogative form. And to explain it in simple terms, we're going to have a sentence that has two parts. The first conditional, which is the if, and then we will and will not and will you, okay? So the first part of the sentence, as I mentioned before, may contain the word if, and the second may contain the word will. Okay, so for example, we will have a party if you come to Mexico this year. The order can be different. You can start with the word will and then with the if clause, okay? And for example, in the negative form, my mother will not travel to Denver if my sister comes to visit her. Mi mamá no va a viajar a Denver si mi hermana viene a visitarla. In the interrogative form, will you practice the guitar if you have a concert? ¿Practicarás la guitarra si tienes un concierto? So notice that the sentence, as I mentioned before, has two parts. The will part and the if part, if you would like to put it in simpler terms. So for example, let's try matching these sentences, okay? Notice that in the columns you have will, if, etc. And then you have to match, for example, will with an if clause and a if clause with will, etc. Okay? So you will be late if you don't hurry up. Vas a llegar tarde si no te apuras. If you need some cash, I will lend you some. Okay? You will have a lot of time if you finish your exam on time. Vas a tener mucho tiempo si terminas tu examen a tiempo. If we go to the park, I will prepare some hamburgers. If my child doesn't find his bicycle, he will cry. So notice here that we have a pattern. We will always have a sentence that has if and will, okay? Part A and part B, it can be starting with the if clause or with the will part, okay? We're almost there, hang in there. And for models of possibility, we're going to use the same build that we have done in the first conditional sentences, but the detail here is that we're going to replace the word will in the main clause of a sentence to may, might, or should. May and might express possibility, and should expresses advice. So let's look at examples, okay? If the weather keeps changing, the wild animals from Canada might lose their habitat. Okay, so remember we have the if clause and then we have the first conditional clause, okay? And notice here that the only thing we have to do is replace will with may, might, or should. So the next example is, if your children are back from the school, you may go home at once. Si tus hijos han llegado de la escuela, tú podrías irte a casa de una vez. And other examples over here, I suggest that you try to match each sentence by your own, but I will help you with some of these examples. Okay, so if you don't pass the exam, you will have to try again. okay? If you want to drive a car, you should take some driving lessons. This is a suggestion, okay? Si quieres manejar un carro, tú deberías tomar unas lecciones para conducir. And if you want to be respected, you should treat others with respect as well. Si quieres ser respetado, tú deberías tratar a los demás con respeto también. So, as I mentioned before, let's rewind a little bit. Let's resume these topics, okay? So the first conditional, as I mentioned before, has two parts, the if part and the will part. And the modals of possibility, the only thing that you have to do is replace the word will with may, might, or should, depending on your motive. Entonces, las oraciones van a tener dos partes, una que tenga la palabra if, si, tú, no sé qué, y otra parte que tenga will, may, should o might, ¿ok? Should va a expresar como un consejo, may or might es como una posibilidad, y will es algo que simplemente se va a hacer, ¿ok? Entonces, si ustedes ya comprendieron la base de esto, ustedes ya pueden hacer muchísimas oraciones usando el first conditional, más aparte los modals of possibility o advice. So today's class is over. I hope that the topics are clear, and if not, you can ask any question and I will try to answer them as soon as possible to create better videos so you can understand everything. Entonces, cualquier duda y comentario, ya saben que me lo pueden hacer. Y nos vemos muy pronto en nuestra siguiente clase. Gracias por su atención.